You know that feeling when life throws you a curveball and you're not sure how to handle it? Well, let me tell you, my guest didn't just handle it, she turned it into an opportunity to make a real difference. I'm sitting down with a powerhouse in food sustainability, government contracting. I mean, she's tackling food waste in a way you've probably never thought of. And she's going to be sharing her story with us and answering any questions that you may have tonight, or if you're listening to the podcast. But before I bring her on, let me introduce myself. My name is Shri, and I am a social media manager who helps doctors and lawyers gain an edge online. We help your practice build a social media presence that attracts and retains patients and clients. My guest has landed government contracts, built eco friendly solutions, and used innovation to turn challenges into success stories. And you know what? I could be talking about her more and more, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring her up. Her name is Aneshai. Did I say it right?
Close. No, it was really, really close though. Aneshai.
Aneshai. Okay, so Aneshai Smith.
Mhm.
And I got to ask because it is the holidays, and then this episode is going up tomorrow in the
Mhm.
morning. I got to ask,
Mhm.
what is your favorite holiday to listen or sing to?
Like my like for like any holiday, or are you talking about?
And no, like this is Christmas,
Uh
or,
huh.
but if don't celebrate Christmas, what is that song?
Oh, what's that song? Oh, it's of course Mariah Carey. Merry Christmas. I love Christmas. Like I am a Christmas addict. As soon as Thanksgiving ended, like that night was Christmas. So it's been Christmas already, and I honestly can't wait for it. I'm like still 12 years old, running down the stairs to the Christmas tree, waking my parents up.
Even though I understand Christmas, the holidays isn't for everybody. It's a very
Hmm.
hard time.
Yeah.
Personally, I've lost family members during this time or close to it,
Hmm.
especially even this year. But still, it's like something I still look forward to. I still look forward to cooking Thanksgiving. Like I was still planning from April Thanksgiving, and even though things happen, I
Yeah.
still was planning Thanksgiving. I still was like, okay, we need to get this, we need to get that. I went to the store at least 4 times, and now it's Christmas. I'm listening to Boys to Men.
Oh
I'm
yeah, that's a good
listening
one.
to Silent Night. I mean, like all the versions.
Yes.
And the song from Wham, Last Christmas. I don't like any
Oh,
other.
I like Last Christmas. Oh, I like the Chris Brown one too from this Christmas. That movie. Yeah,
Yes,
I like that one
I've
too.
watched that movie 3 times in
See?
2 weeks. But we're not here to talk about all of these Christmas movies. I would
Okay,
love to hear
unfortunate.
from if you guys are catching the replay or the podcast. Definitely share what is your go-to song that you listen to during this time of the year for the
Mhm,
holidays. So, Anishai, right?
mhm. Yes.
Take us back to when you were in college.
Mhm.
What drew you to becoming a social worker?
Oh, that's a great question. I didn't know you were going there. That's a great question. So actually in college, I was known as that girl that wasn't going to go into social work, but that had it was going for a degree in social work. So I always found a disconnect between social services and the people that need it. And during that time, I had learned a lot about social services that come in many forms, whether it's a nonprofit giving it or not, or the government's giving the services. A lot of times people do not know of that service that is out there. So I said, starting out in social work, I was like, I'm going to build a marketing company that focuses only on connecting social services to the people that need it, and pretty much just advertising to those that are underserved. And so that's honestly what took me down the path of social work.
So, I'm hearing that you are able to help people, and especially for those who don't feel like they have a voice. So, I know you're not in social work right now. Well, you're not a social worker, but how has that experience, that background helping you today?
Yeah, actually, someone looped it for me one day. They were like, if you really think about it, you're technically doing that, but you're doing it with because you're doing it with food. And we work with nonprofits now today too. So actually, it took someone that was outside that actually saw the whole picture. They were like, you technically are using your degree because you are now connecting these foods to either people at a discount, so everyday people can keep their dignity and be able to go into a store and purchase the food at a discount via the app on their own and not have to go to a food bank. And for those that cannot do that or have to go to feedings, you're now connecting food to the nonprofits that need the food, and now to the people that are living in these facilities that need those daily feedings. So actually, now I see it as like, okay, my path went a whole different way. I still say it's marketing because I'm always selling myself to someone to try to sign up with us. So in order to facilitate this big loop that I'm trying to continue to create. But yeah, I say that I'm down that path just in a way that I never imagined.
I don't think a lot of us are, like if you think about it, what we're doing, we
Was not
didn't
your dream.
imagine. But if you really think about it,
Mm-hmm.
marketing, selling, we're all doing it, whether it's, to our significant others and why we need
Mm-hmm.
something in our
Mm-hmm.
house or a bigger house, or we need a car or some,
You're throwing out hints.
or a trip. Then there's like your kids on why they need to keep your room clean because
Mm-hmm.
technically nobody ever goes in there, even though it smells
Yeah,
and there's science projects happening in there. It still needs to be cleaned.
understand.
But
No, you're right.
we technically are doing things that we never thought we would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fast forward, is like I saw that your background's in marketing and sales and you have an MBA. So when did you realize, like, there's this thing that we can do with food, and I know that I can make a difference. So what was that moment?
Yeah, so I would say that moment came kind of during the pandemic. So after undergrad, I started this company called Grand Openings. And what we did is grand opening events for all types of businesses, mostly retail. So anything from the press release to the actual day of the event, we did it everything, advertising it, doing the event or organization of it, putting out press releases in order to have that long crowd around the corner for when the first day opens. And so we built up a really good client base during that time prior to the pandemic. But when the pandemic happened, and you can't do events, so you have to figure other things out. And actually, prior to me even like, oh, what am I going to do, because in that time to me I was still like, I'm young, but I felt like I was even more young. So I'm like, okay, I can enjoy this time with family and friends. Like, but I ended up getting contacted by some of the clients that we previously had, and they were like, hey, we need help to let people know we're open. And I was like, well, what do we do? We can't do events or anything. And so with the same subscribers that I had for for grand openings, I started an email blast list via that, and it called it Go See the City. So like you're home, and some of your limitations are now open, I should say, whatever the word was. You're able to like go out and get food at least. How about you go see the city, and these are some of the restaurants you could visit. And so we would put coupon offers in there, everything from like half off to some items being free from some restaurants. And we started advertising it on the news and things of that nature. First, we advertised it to the people, and then the news found out. And it went, yeah, and then it went like a little, I call it mini viral because it went within that city in that Central Florida. And we got calls from the restaurants, and they'd be like, yo, we came in today and there was a line around the corner. And I couldn't believe that it like actually worked. And yeah, and it was not a business, it was just an idea. So started with 12 days of Christmas, picking 12 local businesses. Then the black owned business one that we themed black owned businesses, and it was just all of those. And that one just like blew up. Even to this day, if you Google us, a lot of times within the first 3 pages, our name and black owned restaurants pull up, due to the fact of like the how much it spread out during that time. And so I would say we just kept doing those, and as the world opened up, we continue to start doing grand openings and doing events. And we were in getting podcast interviews during that time, and that was time I had never like really been doing any. We were getting well, we were on several different news channels, all because of an email blast. And these people were like, "Oh, how did you think of this company?" And I would be like, "What company?" Like I would have to just go with it, but it was not a company. And so during that time, I would say like 2022, we just kept going with the email blast and doing the grand openings as the world opened up. And during that time, we got contacted by an accelerator program, and they were like, "Hey, we think your idea." They knew it wasn't a company. They were like, "We think your idea would be great because there are cities that struggle with food waste. And so, what do you think about turning what you are thinking about, like what you have, into this?" And I was like, "Oh my god, that would be so much fun!" And then that's how I took it. It was at the end of 22. I was like, "That'd be great. That would be so much fun." And we got into the accelerator without applying or anything. Till this day, the it's one of the well today it's one of the top government accelerators in the world. And I go to the president of it. And I was like, "Hey, one day I just asked him, how did you even find out about us?" And he says, "I have no idea. Like you were just submitted by someone and they liked what you were doing. And so we thought you would be great for this." And so we ended up winning that competition and going on to test out our idea at the time.
You know
So
what?
it
I
was
want to I want to like let people sit on that because
great.
we sit in our minds for so long, whether it's that idea of starting
Oh,
a
yeah.
business or putting a post or doing that story about, in my case, I lost my father on October 5th, and how has that changed my life
Yeah.
to for some of my clients who are, they own clinics, the 10-year story, the journey, like where
Yeah.
did it begin? It
Yeah.
started with one, and it started with saying, you know what, I want to make a difference in the community and I'm going to do what I can. And then they just grew over time.
Yeah.
Like you just said, you know what? Hey, there's people out there that are hungry. There are businesses who have food and need the
Mhm.
business. Why don't we do something like this? And next thing you know, it's turned into more for you. So
Mhm.
let's dive into this more for you because, you know, along this journey, this first part, there
Mhm.
were challenges you
Oh my
faced.
god, yeah.
So, like for someone who's like new starting their business or starting to think their side hustle, what are some challenges you faced and how did you overcome it? Because for those who are listening and are watching, either you've been through it or you're like, you know what, I'm going through it right now and I needed to hear this.
Mhm. There were a lot of challenges. One is because, like I said, it wasn't originally a business, so it was really just trying to figure out like how to organize this. How do I do this since I'm a one man band with this idea? It was multiple challenges. It was also how do I monetize this new thing, and like who's going to pay for it? How do I find customers? It was everything. I would say it's also funding, realizing that it was turning into a tech, then trying to figure out like how do I get this tech funded, and knowing the disparities between you know uh, underprivileged, I would say, underserved individuals like women and minorities not getting the funding as much as other people. So like it was a lot, but I would say the biggest was the funding portion of it. How do I fund this? How do I build a team in order to build this? Because I don't have a tech background. So those are the biggest challenges that I initially encountered.
The fact that you said, you know what, I don't have this, but I'm going to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
That's like all you guys have to start with is you got to have the basics. Now, if you're recording a video, you have your phone. Just make
Yeah.
sure you clean it. And if you need to have better quality, you definitely can go on Amazon and there's these $20 right now it's Christmas time and you could even get a little bit better quality. But if you only have $20, you can get a lapel mic and your sound quality
Mm-hmm.
would be so great because you can
Yeah.
go live. You can use the live feature on Instagram, Facebook. Like guys, there's so many platforms. Like, like if you want to go live on LinkedIn, you got to have StreamYard or
Yeah.
Restream or there's so many other options out there. But if you are just like, I'm on a budget, like real budget,
Listen.
look, $20 will go a long way and use your phone, keep it clean, and
Yeah.
you can use a ribbon True story. I had a ribbon, a hair glow, and a jewelry box, and that was my stand for 30
Listen, you
days.
got to do what you got to do.
We
It's
do.
work.
So I want to give some love to those who are dropping in the comments. We have G popping in for a few moments, and she's absolutely blown away that all of this evolved during the pandemic and just from an email
Thank
list. What a growth journey, doing so much good. And then we have Jamal fam saying hello. Thank you for stopping by and happy birthday to your mom.
Happy
Dropping in
birthday.
real quick to support. Yes. So here are these words of wisdom.
Hmm.
Now let's move into government contracting because some people are actually really, really interested getting
Hmm.
into government contracting for 2025. And, looking back, what are like a few things you wished you knew before getting that contract?
Oh, so much with government contracting. I will say a lot of them are, so a lot of things you set the boundaries for. So timeline, so to execution or launch or things of that nature. I would say be more conservative. I think I was extremely ambitious. I was like, yeah, I could do this in, 2 months or something like that. And that was not it. Like, one thing I had to end up learning is like sales cycle. This is a new business, especially we're on both sides. We're on a nonprofit side, then we're on the B2B side and government side. So of course, the cycles for things have not, I won't say been invented, they just not they've been fragmented. So I'm bringing this all under one house. So when should one start and the other go and things of that nature. And so I wish now I do this. I wish I had been more conservative with the time frames that I gave, due to the fact of like I should have known I was bringing all these things together in one house. So everybody got to communicate at one point. So when should one start? When should one go? Also, I'm creating a new sales cycle to things that don't exist. So like just realizing that and making a point in order to put that in those things. Give yourself space in these agreements. I would say that give yourself space in these agreements in order to they call it research and development now. Like you like and then I do an onboarding time. Did not have a research and development in any of the initial contracts that I ever got. It was just straight like, oh yeah, I can onboard them in this time and then we're gonna go. Because then you got to go back and speak to that, and now you're talking, yes, and so it's yeah, and then it's going to be an issue now because you're not giving what you promised. So yeah, so I would say definitely give yourself time, and just be I always stay extremely honest, which helped me a lot of times because then it gave me grace. But also just understanding the business that you are in, that not even them or you know how long this may take. So at least give a reasonable amount of time, because you would know like, hey, this not working within 6 months and you got to flip it and pivot for another year. You would be able to know, you would have enough time by then. So yeah, I would definitely say that that was one challenge. Also, team, around team, making sure that everything's in place for team, and that everyone's an expert at what they say they are. A team. So I would say that, and yes, and just have enough runway. Even if a lot of my contracts I got funding up front, but some I didn't. So have enough
Ooh.
runway. Or if you ever do a government contract, a lot of times you can ask for, let's say they pay at a different time that's not upfront, you're able to negotiate then a higher rate. Like it's just like a subscription. You can pay for this year now, or you can pay month by month, but it's going to cost you a little more because now I got to, you got to wait and all this stuff. Should have learned that early on, now, but now I know that now it's like I like, okay, you don't pay the year or the 2 or 3. How about then this is the 6 months rate then, because it's going to be higher because now I have to wait for the funds. So those are three main things that I didn't put into play because I didn't know what I know now. And also all of that was new to me. Yeah, it was all everything and every day was an actual new day. I know some people say that in their field, but I was just, yeah, it was, everything was new. So yeah, those are three things around government contracting of advice I would give.
Did you ever work with anybody to help you understand government contracting, or you just kind of like learned with using YouTube?
Oh no, actually, I didn't get into using YouTube until I want to say late last year. Through some people actually I met out in the wild. They were other tech founders in government, but no, I had really great mentors. Besides the one that came with the accelerator program, I had government officials. I had some that even have worked with in certain administrations. Like my experts went all the way up to the White House. It was just the fact that if it was just a new product and it was taking a fragmented system and bringing it all together. So even if you're signing up for, let's say, a new CRM system and it crashes, I think what they said, Netflix crashed during during the flight, and how long Netflix been out. So why did I think I was gonna crash out? Like, why did I think I was like, no, everything's gonna work forever. Like we're gonna build it and it's gonna work. And so it's just putting everything, yeah, it's just keeping everything in mind that and giving yourself cushion for those days that it won't work.
I love that you're saying, give yourself time, give yourself space, give
Mm-hmm.
yourself grace. Because if you're not working with someone or you don't have a mentor, I am
Mm-hmm.
going to drop somebody in the comments. Her name is Kizzy Parks. She's a really good friend of mine. She's been on this show. She's actually on the podcast episode here, like she's episode number 2.
Oh,
But at the same time, she has a whole community. She has a course. She has a YouTube channel that she provides a lot of really good information, and she goes live a lot. So
oh, awesome.
so, like, if you are someone who's wanting to get into government contracting, even you would
Mm-hmm.
benefit just by being around people. Because anybody who's in government contracting never stops getting a
I
government
was gonna say
contract.
you can never
Like,
stop
you
learning.
just keep going, or they reach out to you and they say, if you build that relationship, this is stuff that she had taught me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
one thing is getting you registering with sam.gov and understanding where the other contracts being posted. It's not just sam.gov, there's other ones. Or getting your cage code. And then she talks about how,
Your
just
certifications.
building relationships with people goes a long way. Even if you didn't win the contract now, you never know, they could come back around and tell you, hey, I really need you to come back. We
Yes,
need this person. Personal experience. I have not won one yet, and I will.
I liked how you said yet.
I will, but my significant other has,
Mm-hmm.
and for them, they submitted a proposal and it didn't go through.
Mm-hmm.
But the same person came back and said, "Look, the other team, it didn't work for them. We want to bring you on." So guess what? That you
God
just
send
don't
a
know
shot.
what is for you, is this for you, but those relationships go a long way. And
I
they even
agree.
tell you, hey, I want to know, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you fix this? Do you know somebody who can order these items for me?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I can do you. That's what they need. I can do it for you.
Yeah. Don't ever turn it down. Just put extra money and cushion in there, but don't ever turn anything down. I learned that as well. But yeah, no, I would love to connect with her. Love people that are in government, that teach, especially government tech. That's like a big, huge thing now. Between all the accelerator programs that are really built up around government tech, especially when AI hit, like that's, you say AI in government tech, they love it, they eat it. Like they love it because that's why they're buying so many services around technologies and because of the AI. So yeah, but last advice for government is just definitely give yourself some cushion. I do agree you can have the basics of the SAM codes, the cage, and everything else. I'll be honest, I never got any of my government contracts by bidding or anything. Mine was all solicited, or I pulled up to conferences and I just met them in person. And I was like, hey, I have this thing. I know your food insecurity rate. I know this about your city and things of that nature. My favorite, though, is after the conferences. That's where you get to meet people, and that's where they tell you things and where they talk to you. So I've always gotten, except about two, all my deals in person, due to the fact of like I'm really just a people's person more than anything. And then I'm able to talk to you more naturally in regards to the needs that I know you have and the needs that I know that you need. That's maybe not posted anywhere. So yeah, but definitely take to anybody advice, take all resources. YouTube, I love YouTube University. Like,
Yeah. And I want to say hi to Rollis. Thank you for joining us. Rollis hires myself a lot to do videos, and I
oh, nice.
am like stalking the videos because I want to see how they perform, and they're doing pretty well. Like one of them had
Nice.
200K, another one's up to 12K and 13K.
That's amazing.
So that's my I do user generated content, but I
That's
want to get
amazing.
into more about your company and how can people reach out to work with you?
Yes, so you could go to our website, gocitycity.com. What people will start seeing more this year, thank you, and towards next year is that what a lot of people don't know is Go City City is our app. Like the app that's but Harriet AI.com is actually our backend. And so, but you can still go to Go See City and be directed to Harriet. And so Harriet is a dub, of course, to Harriet Tubman. Like she led us to freedom. We say that we are using her legacy to lead food to those in need. So I'm really excited to put Harriet more out there because the only people that get to see it now are like the clients, the back end, the restaurants and stuff, and the stadiums and things of that nature. But yeah, we want to talk more about that, like connecting the legacy and just following the footsteps of those that helped me get here.
And if you could share some words of advice before we end for the evening, because what
Okay.
we're going to do is we're going to, continue this conversation on Instagram. So I'm inviting you to come. But before we do, I, though for those entrepreneurs who are in sustainability, the sustainability space, what are a few things they need to know about building a successful business in this niche?
I will say the network, the sustainability space, not knowing it until and really getting to know it this year. And even I have a chief sustainability officer who like where our next big market is Miami, and she like runs Miami. Like and so I would say the network is everything in sustainability because everyone knows everything. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone knows everyone's challenges as far as like water conservation, energy, and things of that nature. So if you're getting into sustainability and you have a niche, someone will be able to direct you to the right direction of who you can start networking with. But yeah, I would say, especially if you're a minority, like show face. Post about what you're doing, whether it's your audiences. With sustainability can be Instagram, depending on your route that you're going. But post about what you're doing, post about the successes, post about who you're trying to connect with. Go to the networking events, go to the happy hour events. I'm so pro getting in front of the person more so than anything than an email will ever get you. That's how we've gotten most of our client base, to be honest, the bigger clients at least, because maybe I've had a call with them or something, and maybe I'll go to maybe a game or I'll go to a happy hour and meet them. And they may have said no to me online, but now that they met me and realized the real passion behind it, we get the contract. So I would say definitely to me, sustainability, you have to get out there because the space is building and it's building so much. And everybody's racing to that. If you know about the USDA EPA goal, trying to get to 50% food waste by 2030, food waste and food loss. So everyone's racing to that goal, and everyone's finding all these solutions and things of nature to meet that goal around everything else, including water and energy. That you have to get out there and get to know people because everyone's trying to connect anyway in order to stop climate change. So yeah, I would say network, build your network on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram.
I love that. Like, get out there. And you know what? This is the time of the year to start planning for 2025
Yes,
and start putting it together. If you want to go to an event, or if you're saying, you know what, I want to
conferences.
join the Chamber of Commerce or the Rotary Club, or
Mm-hmm.
join even Kizzy's group because you want
Mm-hmm.
to get into government contracting. Like
Yes.
she talks about it too. I talk about it. Like you can't, people can say no to you in your, on behind paper, but when
Mm-hmm.
they see you, they
When
meet
they see
you,
you,
they like you, and right then and there, they may not be able to give anything right then, but later on, they keep seeing you. Eventually, the conversation turns into, okay, So, how can we work together? Now we're talking about our budget. We're talking about looking at expanding. We're looking at this, that, and the other, and you're that person because they just keep seeing you.
Yeah.
So,
No, legitimate. I've been hung up before, hung up on by a venue, I'll say. And I emailed them, they didn't reply back. And then when I finally got them again on the phone, they said something like crazy. I'll just say they said something crazy. And I was like, okay. It like hurt my feelings because I was like, people don't talk to me like this. So like 6 months later, I pulled up to an event at their venue and I was like, hey, and they knew exactly who I was and everything. Do you not know within 2 minutes, he said, he just stopped me. He said, hey, yeah, we're going to work with you at the beginning of next year. So don't even worry about it. And I was like, oh, where's all that spiciness you gave me on the phone? But it was really just, I knew he needed the product. I knew if I just met him, things would change. But yeah, that's why I'm a really big fan of like, sometimes you just got to meet people in person. I'll say that.
well, there you have it. You heard it here. If you want to meet her in person, you got to go to her website so you find out, how to connect with her. She is on Instagram, she is on LinkedIn. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're not following, go ahead, let her know that you watched this episode and you heard something that really touched your heart, or you're listening to the podcast episode. And don't be a stalker, be a friend, reach out.
Be a friend.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to end this right here so we can go to
Thank you.
Instagram. And if you have questions, you can ask there. If you're listening to the podcast, go ahead. You could drop your questions in the comments or just reach out to Aneshai,
Yes.
Aneshai,
My
and even get in the voice notes, like use those voice notes and just ask the question, because no question is dumb unless you don't ask them.
mm-hmm.
So until my next episode, which I have one next week. Yes, I am still doing them till next week. I have an amazing guest who's going to be talking about emails. So if you guys are thinking about emails and ramping up your emails for 2025, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to miss this episode. So until then, thank you everybody who's joining in. Have a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are. And thank you for joining us and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.